what I have in my hand here could change the rangefinder industry, especially considering its advance in areas where others dare to go. However, is that for good reason, and at what cost? My first rangefinder review was almost 4 years ago on one of Mileseey's first products, very similar to the one in my hand. The reason that I love that product, and still do, is for the average golfer, it gave just as accurate yardages against, let's say, more premium brands, but at a fraction of the cost. And Mileseey Golf was one of the first to do it, so I'm not surprised with their growth, popularity, branding, and obviously expanding that product range. However, it definitely takes some kind of new innovation to persuade the average golfer to upgrade from something as, well, let's be honest, something as simple as this to, well, something like this. But it's now the end of 2024 and we have multiple choices when it comes to rangefinders. Ones with speakers, ones with screens, ones with Bluetooth. And personally for me, when I weigh up budget, I feel like all those extra add-ons are just a reason to make a very functional rangefinder just that much more expensive. Because there'll be tons of you watching this video with something very similar to this that you've had in the bag for 4 years. It serves you very well. Okay, it might not be able to zap a gnat's arse from 400 yards away to the nearest millimeter, but as I evidently showed with my last shot there, none of us are that accurate anyway. However, this is advanced in a completely different direction, something that I feel will be widely adopted by all rangefinders in the future. Now, Mileseey has been a great partner of the channel over the years, and with full transparency, this is a paid review of the new Genepro S1. But let's be clear, this is an advert, and I'm going to show you the negatives of this device as well as talk about the elephant in the room, how much this device costs. So before we cover the trademark functions, Mileseey's come a long way in terms of aesthetics. As you would expect from a premium product, this device has been packaged very premium, and I know what a lot of you are saying, who really cares? And I'm kind of with you, but for me, this is a step forward for Mileseey as a brand to compete with the biggest companies when it comes to rangefinders. And to be honest, this is the first one that I've held from them that actually feels like it could do that. But just like all my reviews, I'm going to be honest and I'm going to be nitpicky. For example, the sticker that covered the battery cover left gluey residue on the back of it. $70, $80, $90 rangefinder, would I care less? No. $799, however, well, it's not really something that you would expect. Which is the perfect time to mention the price, $799. How far to the trees? Oh, there you go. First thing to note, this hasn't been released yet and will be released next year. Secondly, they have a voucher on their website at the moment, which is $10 now, and that means you get $300 off when you do buy it when it does get released, which brings it to around $500, which is slightly above £400, and that is essentially the same price, won't name names, as other major brand top-end spec rangefinders that all boast really clear view, really good accuracy, very good vibration, but this one says it can do more, and that's what I kind of want to show you. For what it's worth, my opinion is the $799 retail price is just to grab headlines. I think it's just very good marketing. Mileseey, for me, famously has these flash sales throughout the year, and it means that you can grab good equipment at a fraction of the price, which is basically where their route started. So I wouldn't be surprised in a year or so this settled down more at the $500 mark, and I could be wrong, maybe I am. And let's be clear, I'm still saying this is great value. Yes, it's more fiddly, yes, you don't have vibration lock on, which means you can zap the trees just like I did there. But it gives the average golfer accurate yardages, which is one of the biggest fundamentals in our game. And if you don't have yardages down the golf course, I highly recommend any device that gives you yardages, even if it's an app on your phone. I've just always preferred rangefinders. So quickly, let's go through the generic advancements that all the other rangefinders. That's a prime example why you don't talk when you're about to hit a golf shot. Trying to be so nonchalant and then do that. You deserve people to see that, Simon. Basic features of the Genepro: the biggest lens Mileseey's brought out, most magnification Mileseey's brought out, quickest Mileseey's brought out, very easy to use, very easy to grab the flag or anything in the distance. But again, as I said at the start of the video, for me that isn't enough to even think about the price tag of this thing compared to the more basic models. Obviously this device can give you slope, and to be honest has this very cool sliding option on the top here. And as I'm showing you here, slope is basically judging the angle where the flag is. Is it downhill, is it uphill? And then it gives you a calculation of what that yardage should be. But both of these devices provide slope. But if you've been playing as long as I have, you'll understand slope was only available on the most premium products, which is why I'm so excited about this thing. As with all technology in every industry, it starts off premium because it's new and no one's figured it out yet. And then it trickles down to the point that we just expect it from certain kind of devices. A great example of this is Mileseey's coaching mode. Rather confusing name, and to be perfectly honest, it should be called caddy mode, as it doesn't give you swing thoughts, doesn't give you club selection, or whisper sweet nothings into your ear. But it's a great feature, and this used to be one of Mileseey's more premium products, whereas now, compared to the Genepro S1, actually seems like a bit of a bargain. Essentially, in coaching mode, you can measure 2 points in the distance without actually being there. For example, here's my car. I measured the back of my car and then I measured the front of my car. And even though the distance was 10 yards away, it knew it was about 5 yards in length. As you can see me stepping it out right here. A great use for this is knowing the distance between certain obstacles in the distance. For example, on hole 3 on the parks here at Sanford Springs, I measured the trees in the distance, about 250 odd yards away, zapped in between both the trees, 50 odd yards between them. If you've never played here and you're thinking about taking driver and it goes about 280, at least you know you've only got 50 yards to play with. And we're going to talk about the AI that the Genepro S1 has in a minute, and potentially how advanced or not advanced it actually is. But regardless of the fact, if you think this is worthwhile or even useful, this is what I want to see in terms of advancement in technology. Not a Bluetooth speaker, not a GPS I could just have on my phone anyway, all the other things that just seem to be slapped onto a laser, but actually something that makes it more of a laser, which again, as I say, is no surprise, because Mileseey's background in architecture, you have to be accurate and you have to measure points that you can't realistically measure out by hand. And imagine you're in a buggy, it's kart pass only, you want to grab a club, you've just lasered your ball and then you laser the flag. It means you can go, oh yeah, it is 36 yards, 100 yards, 200 yards, whatever it is, that is such and such. You walk to your ball, you hit it, you come back. It means you don't have to take 3 different clubs, measure it and then pop them all on the ground. I mean, that's just genius. But again, this can do that. So what does this do more? And we have to talk about a few negatives now. Well, not really negative, but this does have like a Bluetooth or wireless function that can connect to your phone and Mileseey's golf app. Now, obviously this is a new feature because I've never heard of it before. And I imagine because this hasn't been released yet, the app hasn't been released. Don't get me wrong, the advert on the website looks fantastic. It looks like you're in virtual reality and you're going to be able to map everything out, go through your analytics, go through your yardages, and it could be just that. The only problem is I can't test it, so I can't review it, and therefore I haven't got an opinion on it. There we go. Right, turn AI on. Now, this is a very interesting subject that we have on our hands here. This is what Mileseey likes to call their smart slope. It takes in air pressure, temperature, humidity, wind, which I'm really not sure how that's possible. But then again, I'm not the smartest person in the world. And then I presume is the calculation at the bottom. That being said, it's quite windy today and it's absolutely freezing. I've tested it a couple of times on different holes. And realistically, to get some true readings, I'd need to do it in different temperatures, different days of the week. But to be honest, I didn't really see that much difference once I had AI on and when I had AI off. Which brings us on to the second point. I can't imagine you'd be able to use that in tournament conditions anyway, just like you wouldn't be able to use slope. That being said, it's definitely where golf is going to go in the future. Calculations, more accuracy, even though we're not that accurate. Which brings me on to my next feature, just like the AI, it's in its infancy stages, but potentially could be mind-blowing. And the reason that I say that is rangefinders for the longest time have been so concerned over getting 500 yards worth of accuracy, but actually the more important part of our game, the one that arguably is going to help reduce your scores, 24 feet 04. This is finally doing something about it. Let me show you what I'm on about. Now, I've set this to my height and obviously my camera is not above my head or where my eyes are. So we're gonna have to take some results with a pinch of salt, but, oh, hang on, let me change it to red. Right, there you go, 2407, 7 degrees. It's one thing being a good putter, it's another reading a green and then also committing to a particular line. Now, before I show you the results of what I've found with this, no, of course you can't use this in competition, and to be honest, the process I'm about to show you is going to take far too long. However, let's say for pros, practice rounds, map reading, green reading, knowing the subtle breaks that are around a green. Let's be honest, this thing just looks dead flat if you've never played it before. However, I know this is uphill and I know it's left to right because I've played this course more than any other place in the world. As I'll show you with these shots around the putting green, 5 degrees is basically dead flat. Anything under 5 degrees is obviously downhill, and the lower the number, the more downhill it is. Anything uphill will then obviously be above 5 degrees. As I'm showing here, this is 7 degrees, so it's slightly uphill. And if this is indeed left to right, and trust me, this is a very subtle break, but what's the point? If it's a massive left to right swinger, you'll know it's a massive left to right swinger. But if I pick points like the graphic shows, before the hole, after the hole, left of the hole, to the right, so on and so forth, you'll get an idea where's higher and where's lower. For example, if I show on the left hand side, we can see, look, 8 degrees. And if I spin it around and then obviously aim on the right hand side, hopefully we see something lower than 7. 6 degrees, which means we know it's uphill, we know it's left to right. And if my putting, this is where this video definitely falls apart. Unbelievable, didn't hit it. But you can see that it gradually broke left to right towards the end. And an uphill putt. Is it time consuming? Yes. Is it the best version that it will ever be? No. Do I see every beginner in 10 years time using a green reading device so they can learn what uphill left to right breaks are? Pace control from 5 foot, 10 foot, 15 foot, 20 foot? 100% yes. Don't get me wrong, it's a premium rangefinder for a budget that I normally tell you guys to build a whole bag on. But for me, what's exciting isn't the product itself, it's the innovation that Mileseey's putting into its products. And I'm excited what they're going to release over the next 5 to 10 years. Guys, got any questions on your golf bag or golf game? sasgolfacademy.com. Catch you guys later.